Good morning everyone, my name is Crystal and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm here in my flat on my own and I've just got up. Alexa wakes me up.
Transporters engaged. Welcome aboard.
I don't know why Alexa did that. So I got woken up at 20 past 7 because that's what I've told Alexa to do. Wake me up at 20 past 7 because that seems like a good time for me. So I got up, I've made myself a cup of ginger herbal tea, sorted my cats and my dog out, woken myself up, and here I am. So good morning everyone. It was a bit cooler this morning and I was able to get a few hours sleep last night. So it's fun and games with the neighbours. When I talked to my mum last night, I've obviously been like having a bit of therapy online. So I've been talking about what's gone on in my life, and the online therapist talks to me and helps me work through things. And when I was talking to my mum yesterday, she was saying that it's about time people heard her story. Her story, not mine, hers. So, yeah, I know what's going on. I don't want to sound paranoid. It feels like my voice is being heard in my flat and everybody's mocking what I'm saying when I go outside, and it's serious stuff. So if that, I just have to carry on, keep going, be strong, be brave, and just ignore the street theatrics that are going on outside after I've talked to my online therapist, talked to my mum, and whatnot. So I'm kind of trapped in a prison where these people, these gang stalkers, are trying to stop me from telling the truth, getting my story out there, with neighbours telling their dogs like, shut up when I'm speaking, things going on when I'm speaking. And it's not only happened to me, there's a gentleman on YouTube called the Narc, N-A-R-C Survivor, and every time he does a live broadcast in his home, you can hear all his neighbours being noisy while he's speaking. On TikTok, there's a lady that says every time she does a live stream, her neighbours play up. They play loud music, or their dogs outside start mucking about, barking while she's live streaming. And she can't hear what, you know what I mean? She's doing an online shop sort of thing, so she's selling things via TikTok live stream and she can't hear what she's doing. And one person said, well, perhaps you're loud. And she said, well, if I'm being loud, why doesn't someone tell me politely I'm being loud rather than make a tremendous amount of noise? So I get what she's saying. It happens to me even when I've got the windows shut, the front door shut, and you know, I've been outside when my radio's been on and you can't hear it outside. You can't hear anything in my flat outside. So they can't hear me speaking, as in I'm being loud, so that they can hear it outside. And when I've been live streaming on the balcony, I'm just talking like I'm talking like this. And remember, outside there's traffic, there's heavy traffic. There's DPD lorries, there's Tesco lorries coming down the road, motorcycles. People are on their balcony, their kids are screaming, they're talking more louder than I am over me. And I haven't got that much of I haven't got a loud voice. It's not loud. So what they're doing is being done on purpose to drown out me speaking, and they want attention. So they're speaking over me. My mother speaks over me. They're very narcissistic people. They want all the attention, and I'm not allowed to speak or talk to anybody. The train was terrible. My son and I were trying to have a conversation. The two girls in front were shouting to each other. They weren't speaking, they were shouting. There was a woman where we were sat reading a book. She was quiet, she was reading a book. I don't know how she was managing to read a book with all that noise on the train to Margate, because it was awful. And it happens on planes. You can have a baby screaming on a 2-hour plane journey all the way through. That is why there's earplugs or earphones to drown out noises. When you are being gang stalked, it's 24/7. So you can go outside and then come back, and your home is supposed to be a place of peace and quiet, supposed to be, and escape it. But I find it really hard to escape it, because I live in a built-up area with lots of kids screaming and yelling, and you can hear the mothers shouting at the kids and all sorts of things. Now, when I went to Primark, when I used to go to Primark in Chatham, I thought it was me. But more and more and more people are coming forward with their experiences themselves. So when I go into Primark, I hate it. I want to get my clothes, right? I want to go in there, get my clothes and get out. And it's not as simple as that. It's full of mothers with kids screaming. It's an awful experience for me to go shopping in Primark. I hate it. And a woman on TikTok said yesterday that it was the most horrific experience she'd had just going shopping in Primark. So, you know, you end up wanting to go out doing some shopping, and you just can't wait to get back. There's times I've gone out and I've come back with nothing, because the experience of shopping is not a pleasure anymore. Walking outside my place just to walk down the road to go to the shops is not a pleasurable experience. Even 2 minutes up to the co-op. Here we go. Here we go. Anyway, so I got up. My mum phoned at 10 to 8, 7:48 in the morning, 10 to 8. Why is she ringing me? She's not ringing me to ask me to go up there. What is she ringing me for? I don't know. And it's not a game I'm playing where my mum rings, I'm going to call her back, and she's going to start having an argument with me over the phone. No, not first thing in the morning. I'm not having it first thing in the morning. I've got to walk my dog. Right, so it starts, now it's a game. It's a game now. Wants to, like, get vent on me over the phone. No. No. I've got enough food in my flat for the day. I've got things to do. I've got washing to do. I've got washing up to do and a bit of cleaning. I've got my own life to lead. Right? So the guy upstairs' car was parked outside my flat, the Ford Mondeo, since, I don't know whether it's Saturday or Friday evening. His kids weren't upstairs, so it was fairly quiet upstairs, apart from hearing his feet across the ceiling. he's now gone to work, so his car's gone. I didn't hear him leave because I am meditating before I go to bed. Meditating, which means, you know, breathing in, breathing out, possibly listening to music on a very low level and putting some relaxing sounds on YouTube loud, right near where my next door neighbours are making the noise by my wall where I go to bed. So last night his car was parked outside, obviously, and the neighbours next door started being noisy, and I've noted it down and the duration of it and where it's coming from. So I was winding down for the evening about 10 p.m, winding down, and then you get this. I don't know how to make a wall noise because I'm not near the wall, but how can you go to sleep when someone is banging against the wall and running up and down the side of the wall? So you've got heavy children's footsteps. So you've got heavy children's footsteps by the wall where I'm trying to go to sleep. Heavy children's footsteps, and they're by the wall where I'm trying to go to sleep. Now the wall is paper thin. It's paper thin. If you hit that wall hard, I think your fist would go right through it. It'd go right through it. It's so thin. Which is a fault in the construction of the building, isn't it? It's a fault in the architecture of the building. There's a fault. You shouldn't be able to hear next door neighbours moving about, speaking. You shouldn't be able to hear it, especially in a bedroom. So I had a talk to the online therapist. She told me to listen to a song that relaxed me, put some relaxing sounds on YouTube, and I was getting a bit stressed, so because it was getting louder and louder, and they realised it was annoying me, so they did it even more. They'll do it even more. If they realise it's actually annoying you, the noise will escalate and it'll get worse. So the best thing to do is to ignore it, and it's really difficult to ignore it when you're trying to go to bed. It's like when you've got mice in the ceiling, you can't sleep because they're scratching at the ceiling, right? Everybody likes to go to bed noise-free. Everyone, I would imagine. And a lot of people put earphones on, go to bed with earphones on. I used earplugs last night, I did. They must have been going on towards 12, 1 in the morning. I just stuck an earplugs in, and I put white noise on, which is either a fan or, you know, music, like rain coming down, and I put it by the wall where they were making a noise, and they can listen to that. As they're putting their ears by the wall and listening, I put loud noises by the wall, you know, rain sounds, and they can listen to that. That'll annoy them. Listening to see if a noise is upsetting me and then laughing and making it worse is not a nice thing to do. And 9 times out of 10, I don't know if anybody else gets the same problem. It's them that's making the noise, but when you retaliate back, they start yelling and screaming at you and making out it's your fault and you started it. And I don't want to have a confrontation with anybody. I just want to be left alone in my flat. I don't want to talk to these people. And another thing, it's kids that are instigating it. It's not adults. It's like when I was going into my TikTok live streams, it felt like kids were laughing at me. So it's kids that are making the noise next door, and it's kids that are making the noise upstairs. Kids. But the couple next door are grown adults. They don't have children living with them. and they are one of the focal points of this harassment. The neighbours with the dog. And it's the neighbours with the dog and their next door neighbour, the blonde lady, that keeps coming out of her door when I'm taking my dog for a walk. The blonde woman, she lives next to the couple with the dachshund at the other side. And that's the woman that Hazel handed the letter that was meant for number 9. She handed it to the blonde woman next to the couple with the dachshund that annoy me. So I've got up this morning and I'm fine. I just stopped getting stressed out, put earplugs in, went to bed. I didn't get woken up throughout the night because those earplugs block absolutely everything out, thank goodness. I had a loud white noise on and it blocked that out, so they're really good. I don't like wearing earplugs because they disintegrate and they can cause all sort of problems, but if I can't sleep noise free, I'm going to have to wear earplugs. That's it. So I didn't hear the guy upstairs go to work. I didn't hear his car go off because I had earplugs in. Now I'm just getting ready, getting up. I've had my breakfast. I'm going to drink the rest of my ginger tea, herbal tea, and I'm going to take my dog for a walk. And I don't want to be miserable, but my mum's obviously rung me at 10 to 8 and all this crap kicks off. I'm not ringing my mum back at 8 o'clock in the morning. No, because I want a peaceful walk and I don't want any stress. Alexa, good morning.
Good morning. On this day in 1959, modern postcodes were first introduced in Norwich. The system took time to catch on. At first, only half of the population bothered to include postcodes on their letters. The post office eventually stamped that out.
Alexa, what's the time, please?
Good morning, Crystal. It's 8:06 a.m.
Alexa, what's the date today?
It's Monday the 28th of July.
Alexa, what's the weather outlook?
Currently, in Rochester it's 15 degrees Celsius with partly sunny skies. You can expect more of the same today, with a high of 24 degrees and a low of 13 degrees.
Alexa, can you tell me a joke?
Do you remember that joke I told you about my spine? It was about a week back.
Alexa, which celebrity was born on this day?
Celebrities born on the 28th of July include Hannah Waddingham, Pantera, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, and Gabriette.
Alexa, can you play LBC Radio?
LBC London from Global Player.
Hamas and of course get more aid into Gaza. Now the president clearly doesn't see that just as a US issue to solve.
The US is going to do more aid for Gaza, but we'd like to have other countries participate. We're going to mention that to the European Union today. That's an international problem. It's not a US problem, it's an international problem. And we're giving a lot of money and a lot of food and a lot of everything. If we weren't there, I think people would have starved.
And we can also see, I think, the president raising the issue of immigration, Nick, as you've been saying earlier this morning. We know he's introduced some rather controversial measures in America to deal with that issue. And when he landed at Prestwick on Friday, it was one of the first things that he talked about.
But on immigration, you better get your act together, or you're not going to have Europe anymore. You got to get your act together. And we, you know, as you know, last month we had nobody entering our country. Nobody. Shut it down. And we took out a lot of bad people that got there with Biden. Biden was a total stiff. And what he allowed to happen, but you're allowing it to happen to your countries. And you got to stop this horrible invasion that's happening to Europe.
So there's going to be a lot on today's agenda. There are hundreds of police that, around. They have all arrived in buses, in coaches this morning. There's a helicopter flying overhead at the moment. The security here has been off the charts, as you might imagine. So not sure we'll see the president out on the course, but we also know that the two men will have their meeting, they'll address the press, and then they will carry on their discussions, Nick, when they both fly to Aberdeenshire later today. And of course, Donald Trump expected to open his new golf course there tomorrow.
LBC Scotland political editor Gina Davidson reporting. Let's bring into the conversation Jonathan Reynolds, who's Secretary of State for Business and Trade, joining me now. Thank you for coming on, Secretary of State. As regards the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, what does success look like in the talks between our Prime Minister and President Trump? Good morning.
Well, good morning, Nick. I mean, this is still an intolerable situation, the inhumanity on display. I think everyone still shocked by that. I mean, the US is clearly the country with the most leverage in the Middle East. I think people do recognise that. I mean, for our part in the UK, we want to continue our support for getting aid into Gaza. We know the airdrops are only something we can do in the absence of getting trucks in on the ground. That is absolutely true, but we're working with the Jordanians on that. So the immediate accessing of greater amounts of aid into Gaza would be significant. But as well as that, I mean, what we really want to see, the US has played a key role in the two ceasefires that we had already seen in this conflict. But for what we all want to see, which is a real end to it, a real process towards a proper peace deal, a peace settlement. I mean, that is the prize. That is what everyone wants to see. Of course, that is difficult, but I think this is now so horrific that we can't just think this can go back to some sort of stalemate, business as usual. We've surely got to focus on the proper process that will give a two-state solution.
Will Sir Keir be attempting to persuade President Trump to see the merit in recognising the Palestinian state, Secretary of State?
Well, that's something we are deeply committed to. All I would say is we want that to be part of a real moment. I wouldn't want to come on here, Nick, and do that in a way which is tokenistic. I'd want to be able to say that will galvanise this real, genuine peace process, this move towards a two-state solution. There are lots of countries around the world that already recognise a Palestinian state. It obviously hasn't stopped the horrific scenes that have been on our newspapers and televisions for months now years now. And so it has to be in a way which is meaningful. You can only do this once. I mean, the US, I think, has probably got a different position to us at present, but I do think they want to see this conflict end. I do think they want to see a proper peace process in place, a proper route towards that two-state solution. So it's really a conversation about what's the best way to do that.
President Trump has made some interesting comments already, the time he spent in the United Kingdom. One saying, you better get your act together or you're not going to have Europe anymore. You've got to stop this horrible invasion that is happening to Europe, many countries in Europe. Would you use the word invasion?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know whether Nicky's talking about other European countries there or the wider context, but I would be frank and say, you know, I think you can be in favour of talent coming to the UK. As the business secretary, of course, I want to see that happen. I do think there's got to be control. I do think, to be frank, the numbers the government inherited at nearly 1 million in net immigration, I think that's too high. I think there's public consent for that. So that has come down quite a lot, but it has to come down further. I wouldn't put it in those terms, but I think it's quite important people listening understand, you know, politicians do understand there are real public concerns about this. They want to see control. They want to see that work for the UK. And frankly, they didn't feel that was the case after the Brexit referendum, where a lot of people, I think, did vote for Brexit thinking it would control immigration through freedom of movement no longer applying within the European Union. Of course, you saw that huge increase in immigration after that. I think that has caused, you know, quite a lot of concern amongst the public.
How's smashing the gangs going, Secretary of State?
Well, I think on illegal immigration, there has been some real movement on the criminal prosecution
Well, there has
of the
been
gangs.
there's been a
around
50%
that.
increase in numbers, Mr. Reynolds.
Yeah, but look, the big thing about this is, what does it mean for the UK and the huge concerns that have existed and do exist about people being put up in hotels? There's a lot more to do, I would accept that, but at the peak of this, there were 400 asylum hotels. There's just over 200. They are being reduced and removed because we're processing claims properly. They were massively. We're deporting people who don't have the right to be in the UK. That wasn't happening to the degree it needed to happen. So this is being tackled. I'm not going to say it's job done. Not at all. There's more, again, that needs to be done on this. But the grip of the system and the processing of that is now happening in a way which is addressing those public concerns.
Let's come back to President Trump. He was playing golf on his Turnberry course. Apparently, I don't play golf, Mr. Reynolds, but the view from the 18th has been rather obscured by 9 windmills. He's decided that wind power is a con job. It's expensive. Germany tried it, and wind doesn't work. Again, Mr. Reynolds, would you concur with the president?
I'd have to politely disagree with him on that. I mean, there are billions of pounds of investment in jobs and clean energy coming into the UK. Wind plays a major role. I mean, obviously we are, to coin a phrase, the Saudi Arabia of wind, and we've got that capacity. So our energy needs are different to the US, but it's not just about wind. It's about nuclear. It's about solar. It's about carbon capture. I mean, one thing I'd say in a Scottish context is I could put billions of pounds of investment in new nuclear power in Scotland if the Scottish government wouldn't forbid it as it currently does. I mean, it's got to be about an energy mix, and I do think the Scottish government's wrong on that. I mean, small modular reactors, we're going to lead the world on this if we get it right, could be massive for the future. There's so much money going in around the world to this. I can't do that in Scotland because they ban it on planning grounds.
All right. You had an article in one of the newspapers yesterday, the Sunday Express, in which you talked about how you want to give the hospitality trade a boost, try and drive them on. You write, pubs will find it easier to serve customers in their beer gardens and venues that have been part of our communities for years. Be protected from petty noise complaints from new developments. Times are changing, and we need to adapt to those changes. Fewer than a third of people drink in their local pubs, bars or restaurants. You are aware that under the Labour government, more than 300 pubs have closed in the first 3 months of this year alone. That's 100 a month. You're not helping the pub industry at all. You're killing it.
No, first of all, I would disagree with that, but I would accept the figures. But Nick, that's been a trend that has existed for a long time now. I mean, there's been some big habit changes in whether people drink at home or in a pub, or whether young people in particular, I think, have a much different attitude to alcohol. I mean, that is there. What I see in my constituency is that there used to be pubs that were like going to someone's front room. You know, they have closed. The bigger ones, the ones offering food, hubs of community life, they are actually doing well, but it is tough. And that's why I want to sweep away the things that can help businesses, particularly hospitality businesses, saving them time as well as money. Some of the licensing and planning conditions we're changing are part of that. I accept it's a tougher environment. People have less money to spend than we would like. But, you know, when we're doing things like that big boost to the minimum wage that we had at the start of this government, I know pubs have to pay that, but it also gives them customers with a bit of money to spend in those pubs as well.
But lastly, Secretary, those pub closures, more than 300 in the first 3 months of this year, that was prior to the NI hike, which many in the hospitality trade is also going to cost jobs and possibly bring the closure of pubs and restaurants and bars.
Well, first of all, let's say that's not a new development. Those rationalisations, those number of pubs closing.
I accept that. Surely.
On national insurance, I would always acknowledge, particularly for businesses that employ a lot of people on a variety of shifts, and pubs are an example of this. Yes, there were tough bits of that. We also doubled employment allowance, which means that half of UK businesses are actually paying less in national insurance contributions. But look, sometimes you've got to make tough decisions in government. Businesses would accept that as well. But where we want to help businesses with less regulation, saving them time, saving them money, we are going to do that. I want civic life, I want towns, I want cities with people sitting outside, having a beer in the sunshine. I think that's great for local communities as well as the businesses themselves. So I accept there's been some tough parts of it, but I'll also say where I can make people's lives easier, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Grateful for your time. Jonathan Reynolds, Secretary of State for Business and Trade, giving us the background to those talks involving the Prime Minister and the US President. We'll come to some of those views and comments in a moment. The 8:16 LBC News headlines are next. Over Thomas Watts.
The Lionesses will celebrate their historic Euro 2025 victory with an open-top bus parade in central London. The Prime Minister will discuss Gaza and trade when he meets Donald Trump in South Ayrshire later. And an LBC investigation has found dozens of pornography websites ignoring landmark online safety rules. LBC weather, dry and bright with sunny spells for most, a high of 24 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Lucy Knowles. There are queues on the M11 southbound before Junction 4 for the North Circular Road. In Leytonstone, the A114 Whits Cross Road is partially blocked due to an accident at the Green Man roundabout. The A232 Croydon Road in Keston is partially blocked at Westerham Road. That's again due to an accident. In Yeading, Glencoe Road is blocked in both directions at Lock and Close because of an accident, so do approach that area with care. The M4 is busy, but moving on to the elevated section from Junction 3 for Hayes to Junction 2 for Brentford. And on the trains, there's a reduced service on London North Western between Bedford and Bletchley due to a shortage of trains. And trains are not stopping at Euston Square on the Circle, Hammersmith and City and Metropolitan lines. That's due to staff shortages.
This is LBC.
When we're little, we don't overthink things. We're brave, confident.
Right, guys. So I've just been listening to the radio and the noise that has been going on outside while I've been recording this YouTube video. So my mum called at 10 to 8 and I was already up, so she hadn't woken me up at all like she used to do in Gloucestershire when I was sleeping. And I had a young baby then. So someone's had a delivery and the delivery lorry was reversing really loudly for quite a few seconds. It's really loud. And of course it's probably a shopping lorry. I don't bother looking outside. I've got a blackout sort of frosted effect glass window and my blinds down, so I don't know what it was. I just heard this horrible reversing noise, nasty loud sound. I don't know if this video picked it up. So the noise starts to start after my mum rings the phone. There is a distinct connection with that, and it used to happen in Gloucestershire as well. I think she's done something, but she won't tell me. I hope she hasn't signed me up to a reality TV show or something, because that's illegal. See you later.